Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy. Thank you for joining us today for our live tarot reading on August 18th, 2024. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, and thank you so much for joining me. Much love to everyone here, and let's start out by giving a shout out to everyone in the chat. Great to see you, Valerie. Much love, Johnny. Good to see you, Christy. Good evening, Nikosmas. Good to see you, Isaac. Much love, Leslie. Good to see you, Iskander. Good to see you, Mukio. All the love in the world, Mother Rhea. Good to see you, D-Love. Pearl Girl. Good to see you. Stoic Dissension. Much love. The Fifth Word. Good to see you. Taz. Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. This is a great turnout. Love to see it. Bright and early. All right, let's begin by talking about the astrology. So we're still in this Aquarius moon. And the Aquarius moon is really beautiful energy. It's fun energy. It's that energy of wanting to break out of the confines of the norm, of wanting to expand your emotional horizons, of wanting to go out into the world and connect with others and party down, to seek that kind of intellectual inspiration, to go out under the stars and try to draw them down, right? Aquarius is that drawing down of the stars energy. It's representative of that star card. And in the moon, it's that power to really be in this intellectual creative mode, right? To use that divine intuition in this outgoing, outward approach, where you can be that unique self in a truly expressive way. And when we connect to this sun in Leo, which is also this profoundly confident, powerful energy of this creative fire, when we combine these, we can really be this unique person. We can be this individual that we are. We can embody this, and we can move forward in confidence and in certainty and in desire, right? Now is not the time to be sitting and worrying and being a homebody, right? You're going to be in that desire to really branch out and to explore. Pursue that in this moment, you know? And when I was meditating this morning and I was thinking about the energy and what to title today's episode, I drew the art card. And the art card is such a profound card. It is that beautiful, creative, inspiring moment, right? It's the coming together of forces to create something, right? It's that procreative act. It is the muses embodied, right? The muses are that inspiration, that creative spark, that thing that drives us forward, you know? And when I was thinking on this idea of the muse, I immediately thought of this poetic line that we see in so much of the Homeric writing. Sing in me, O muse, right? What is that art card but that inspiring force of transformation, right? It's connecting to that muse in that procreative way. It's following that light, shining down through your life, that yellow brick road, that golden path, right? The long and winding way, and following that light to the end, to that ionic life, moving in flow and in certainty. So that's the energy of the evening. It's to embrace that muse, embrace that inspiration, seek what you desire, what you love, pursue it in life, and use that to fire you and to spark that transformation. It's beautiful energy, right? To pursue the muse is to be transformed, right? It's to be creative and inspired to create. And I wanted to read for you guys this poem I found. It just came randomly when I was searching through one of my favorite websites, publicdomainpoetry.com. And it's by a English poet named John Collins Squire. And it's interesting because this is someone I've heard about and kind of danced around, but never got into their work. And then the muse just shows them to me today. And it's this beautiful poem. It's called A Poet to His Muse. All right. It begins. Muse, you have opened like a flower. Long ago, I knew that brown integument, like a dead husk, had dormant life within it, and waited till a first white point appeared, which shot into a naked, stiff, pale spike that grew. I knew this was not all. Nothing I said, as greener you grew and taller, but dreamed alone of the day when you would bud, would unsheath, and silently swell, and at last your crown would break, filling the air with clouds of color and fragrant, radiant waves, odors of immortality. In a pot of earth, I watered and tended you, breaking the clods and soaking the earth with water that fed your roots and eased your way to the light. I gave you the sun and the rain, but saved you from scorching and drowning. You are mine, and only I know you, and the ways of your growth and the days. But you are not from me. I am but a pen for a hand, a bed for a river, a window for light, and I bow in awe to that power that made you a flower. Right? Beautiful, 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 beautiful. That muse, that art, that creation, that love needs to be tended like the blossoming flower. And if you tend to it and care for it with that loving adoration, it will bloom. It will bloom for you. It'll bloom for the whole world, right? Magic. And recognize you are but a pen for that force of transformation, the coming together of all of these factors for the purpose of the moment of that blooming. You know, he recognizes his role as the gardener, right? Is but a pen, is but a moment, an act, a process in a long series of processes to bring about that beauty and the perception of that beauty. Beautiful. I love it so much. All right. We are now going to start with our Ganapati Oracle. So we are going to ask the divine Lord of Beginnings, the divine child, master of the Ganas, guardian of the threshold, Ganapati, Ganesha, come inspire us. What is the message? What is the flow? And help to have our voices heard and to shed a light on our goings forward. All right, here we go. All right. We have energetic movement. Incredible. Isn't this incredible energy for the sun in Leo and the moon in Aquarius? Energetic movement, that dance, being in motion and in flow, and recognizing the power of movement and of flow, of bringing that energy and moving into that energy. You know, today we were looking at the Mother Goddess on a show I did with Dion. And one of the things you'll come to recognize when you study these Mother Goddess cults is that often there are these dancers and beaters of the drum. The drum is that heartbeat, that energetic pulse of vibration that is the creative force that drives the universe. And the dance is that artistic, creative energy in between these pulsations and moments that decorate the experience, that color and bring light and joy to the transformative spiraling of universal flow and love, right? That cosmic dance of creation, embodying that divine Shiva energy who both creates and destroys the universe with their motion. You know? It's beautiful energy here to be that dancer, right? And to recognize that that dance can transport you, can teleport you, can bring your body to transformative power, right? And engagement. Beautiful. Wow. Go out and dance. Beat the drum. Be inspired. Wow, powerful. Move and flow. Okay. We're now going to start with our sortes. Today I have a new book that we're going to begin with. It's called The Immense Ocean. It's by Al-Bahir Al-Madid. And this is a commentary on the Quran from a Sufi perspective, but it's a beautiful work. And when we invoke the spirits of the muses, we will gain the musical perspective. So, for those of you unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy that is divination through literature, where we invoke the goddesses of inspiration, those divine muses, and we ask them to inspire us, to guide our hand, and to send us a message. So, what is the message from the immense ocean? All right, here we go. Muses, guide my hand. For the one who looks upon the world of the divine power, however, and this is the realm of the supreme truth, all actions are God's actions without intermediary, and he is not asked about what he does, but they are asked. Wow. For the one who looks upon the world of the divine power, however, and this realm is of the supreme truth, all actions are God's actions without intermediary, and he is not asked about what he does, but they are asked. You know, I think the message here, again, is to recognize the many and the one kind of aspect of the universe. This idea of the transcendental unity of all, and that no intermediary is needed, even if intermediaries exist, right? Both are true. Both are true. You know, there is this unfolding of the reality of experience, right? Even they say, they ask, who's asking, right? It's interesting. Let's continue. Let's see what the message is. All right, we're going to go to The Shape of the Will by my dear friend Graham. Muses, what is the message from The Shape of My Will? Inspire us this evening. I will follow you. I will worship you. I will live with you. I will learn from you. I will laugh with you. I will cry with you. I will die with you. Wow. Wow. That's that. Again, we're seeing this alchemical marriage, that art card again. This transformation that brings two together in that true loving marriage, right? Where you produce that Adrenahari Ishvara, this giving up of the self for the other, right? But in that transformative of the alchemical act in this way, there has to be a balance. The other must also give up their self for them. You know, it's a combination. Beautiful. Wild. Let's continue. All right, we're now going to go to Arcana Mundi. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Arcana Mundi? Apparently, Socrates always knew what this inner voice meant, but when he was asked to give advice to his friends, he did not always want to take full responsibility for it, and so he would send them to one of the established oracles. Apparently, Socrates always knew what this inner voice meant, but when he was asked to give advice to his friends, he did not always want to take full responsibility for it, and so he would send them to one of the established oracles. This is beautiful, right? And this is really fun. One of the interesting things about Socrates is that he is possessed by a daimones. by that inner voice. And there are many accounts of this across the literature and the tradition. Wow. And what we're seeing here is that in the accounts, Socrates always knew correctly what his muse was telling them and could prophesy, but often wouldn't. Would rather send people away. Interesting. Because he didn't want to take responsibility. It's interesting, right? To foresee the future is in some ways to take responsibility for it. You know, you often see this with the prophetesses. It's unfortunate, but people blame the prophetess for the future often. Oof. But also we got to recognize this idea of the daimones, the inner muse, the higher self, the genius, right? All of these ideas come from, in many ways, Socrates in this greater tradition, you know? And you too can connect to that inner muse, to that genius, that higher self, you know, just as Socrates did. Establish that link and see into the future, prophesize and be an oracle. Beautiful. Wow. All right, we're now going to go to Goethe, Faust, Part 1. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Goethe inspire us this evening? Besides, when he is near, I cannot pray. That is a fear that eats my heart away. Besides, when he is near, I cannot pray. That is a fear that eats my heart away. Oh, wow. There's intense, painful energy here. Intense aversion. Besides, when he is near, I cannot pray. That is a fear that eats my heart away. Recognize that it's the fear that eats us. It's the fear that controls us and destroys our love and our light. And we need to overcome this kind of fear and recognize the source of these fears. This is a troubling statement, but there's recognition. When he is near, you can always pray. This is another thing. You can always pray. You are entitled to an inner world on which only you control and only you can experience. That is your privilege, and no one can ever take that from you. No one can ever experience that. It is something for you and you alone. All right, let's continue. All right, we're going to go to Shiva in the Primordial Tradition by Elaine Danilou. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Danilou? Inspire us this evening. All right. Most of these texts are of extremely ancient origin. Echoes of them can be found in the Atharva Veda and in the Upanishads, the works of the grammarians, and the scientific treatises. How and in what languages they were handed down through the centuries is still a mystery. The Tamil versions of some texts are more ancient than the Sanskrit versions. Indeed, during the long period of Aryan domination, both texts and rites were handed down using the same method in use today, side by side with the bookish, exoteric tradition kept alive by priests to ensure the continuation of the rites and teachings. The highest forms of knowledge are transmitted by the sannyasis, members of the monastic order whose initiation is essentially Shaivite and therefore secret. They are outside the caste system and are hierarchically higher than the Brahmins. Wow. He's talking about a series of really interesting texts of which there is much, much, much debate. And that is the agamas. And there are speculation that some of these agamas are from a prehistory, an oral prehistory that is non-Aryan. But this is a lot of conjecture. But it's interesting. This is what the tradition claims. So you take that for what you will. The key to this text and what's interesting is Elaine Danilou, on one hand, while being an ethnomusicologist, he represents this academic perspective. He was also an initiated sannyasin into the Shaivite tradition. So he has somewhat of an insider perspective, and he lived for 20 years in India. So really interesting. The agamas are worth pursuing for anyone looking for interesting Indian sources. You have Shaiva agamas, you have Vaishnavite agamas, you have Shakta agamas. Most of us in the West, we're only familiar with the Vedic tradition, and this is largely because of people like Swami Vivekananda, for better and for worse, and because of people like the Theosophical Society, who translated a lot of the Vedantin and Vedic literature and the epic literature into English. So, but there's so much more in India, and there's so many different traditions that are non-Vedic, right? The Tamil world has so much to offer, right? Wow, interesting. Let's continue. We're going to go now to Boccaccio, the Decameron. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Boccaccio? Inspire us this evening. So then, Teobaldo returned home very rich and remained constant in his love. Nor did the lady again treat him harshly, but using discretion, they long had mutual solace of their love. God grant us solace of ours. Wow. Finding that true love and retiring to the countryside in that mutual flow of discretion and understanding. That's beautiful. Wow. And like they say, God grant us all that mutual solace, love, and understanding. May our partners have the discretion to move and flow with us, to take us for who we are. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right. We are now going to go to Hermann Hesse, Narcissus and Goldmund. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Narcissus? Inspire us this evening. Most people feel that way, but only a few feel it with such sharpness and violence as you do. Few feel the need to become aware of these feelings. But tell me, besides this desperate coming and going between lust and horror, besides this seesaw between lust for life and then sadness of death, have you tried no other road? Oh, wow. Most people feel that way, but only a few feel it with such sharpness and violence as you do. Few feel the need to become aware of these feelings. But tell me, besides this desperate coming and going between lust and horror, besides this seesaw between lust for life and sadness of death, have you tried no other road? There's so much to unpack here. First is to recognize that spiritual path and this pursuit, it comes from a recognition of the suffering. And it comes from a recognition of the absurdity of life and an unwillingness to let it go, And most people, this is a truism, most people are in their own life, for better and for worse, right? They're not concerned with things of this nature. And that's fine. You don't need to be, right? Life is what you make of it, and how you perceive it is what you get, But there are others of us who cannot, right? Who are driven by extremes, who are driven by reactions to this absurdity, to the pain, and to the transformation, right? We cling and we grasp and we freak. We can't just sit idly by, right? And it's such an interesting thing here, because have you tried no other road? Oftentimes our reactions to life, when we experience the pleasure and the beauty of life, we throw ourselves into it. We throw ourselves into it and we overwhelm ourselves, right? We explode with potential and with engagement. And often that creates an imbalance that can lead to harsh lessons, if not painful, right? And we sometimes also then retreat, right? We react and we retreat and we suffer in life, right? We go through this extremism of the reject the world, it's an illusion, reject the movement, sit in meditation, reject pleasure, for that which is higher, that pursuit of wisdom and knowledge of the self. There's so much in all of this, but notice these are just two extremes, two poles, two paths, too often pursued, right? Too often pursued alone. Now, for some, these are the way, right? For some, people will find their solace there. They will find their connection in their way. But for many, they will find strife and conflict and an inability to flow, and you have to adapt to your life and your reality and your dharma, for lack of a better term, right? And that is a very complicated thing that is so personally dependent, you know? And oftentimes when we are struggling in this binary mode, we don't stop and reflect and try to imagine a better way. Instead, we ping pong. We ping pong between the methods we've tried, the methods we've seen others succeed with. You are not others. What worked for one may not work for you. You are a unique individual and must walk your own path, and you must use the light of reason to guide you, right? And that light of reason is the strength and the power to imagine a different way, to take a different approach, to combine perspectives to see a clearer picture, to allow that blossom to unfurl through seeing the totality of the image, you know? And that requires that reason. It requires that refinement. It requires that ability to stop and to recognize when we are repeating bad actions, when we are stuck between these poles. And often when we look at our main religions of the world, these are the paths they offer, you know? And these seem rather extreme. Do they not? You know? Utilize your reason, adapt it into your own life, create your own spiritual practice that works for you. Follow the muses, sing in me, O Muse, and light the way, right? Beautiful. We're now going to go to 10 Plays by Euripides. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Euripides? Inspire us. Foreign women, are you so astounded with fear that you have fallen to the ground? You have perceived, it seems, how Bacchus shook the house of Pentheus. But raise yourself and take courage. Still your shuddering limbs. Oh, wow, there's so much here. Are you so astounded with fear that you have fallen to the ground? Are you not moving and adapting in flow? Is fear preventing you from action? Are you overthinking to the point of cruelty, of ruin, of inaction, of interference, of prevention, right? Have you thrown yourself to the ground, right? Have you witnessed the horrors of life and suffered the pains, recognized your own actions, and rather than continue to move, reject, panic, bulk, you know? These women are recognizing all of the pain of the world around them, right? Bacchus brings that madness, that panic, the experience of the totality of the universe, and that means the violence in all of its reality, to the point where they are shuddering in that energetic movement, right? They have been engaged in that wild dance, and they're told to still their shuddering limbs. Wow. It's incredible here, right? Do not let the fear overcome you. Do not let that experience overwhelm you. Life is absurd, right? Life is absurd and it is confusing. And you must learn to laugh at it and to move ahead in spite of the absurdity. Let's continue. All right. We're now going to go to Gurdjieff, Beelzebub's tales to his grandson. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from the great Gurdjieff? All right. This is interesting. On the third day after my arrival there, I was on my way to my newly acquainted Mr., specifically to ask him to recommend me a teacher for this English tongue. And suddenly I saw reflected on the sky by projectors an American advertisement with the words, School of Languages by the System of Mr. Chatterlitz. What's interesting about this is that this is sort of how the muse will manifest in work, right? It's through that act of perception, and it is through that inspiration and intuition, right? Gurdjieff asks the universe, I need a teacher in English. And then a billboard appears in front of his face. Coincidence or synchronicity? Depends on how you see it. It's a little bit of both, is it not? Right? That is the subtlety of which the muse will first appear. And the more you engage with her and you learn to listen, she will speak louder and louder. Beautiful. All right, let's continue. We're now going to go to Voodoo Quantum Leap by Reginald Crosley. This is a really interesting book. Dr. Crosley is an initiated Freemason and a born and practicing member of the Voodoo religion from Haiti, and member of several different mystery schools. A really interesting figure and a deeply profound philosophical thinker. Highly recommend this book, especially for anyone interested in voodoo. A lot of people get voodoo all confused, you know? All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Crosley? Inspire us this evening. The scientist, as well as the philosopher, the theologian and the common man or woman, must seek that ultimate reality with the same means. That is, a mystical method that consists in expectation of a visitation or a revelation. The trance state does not give access to it, but opens up avenues that can facilitate illuminations or revelation. The trance state, or any higher state of consciousness, allows us to enjoy the ecstasy of the unbroken wholeness of the finite universe, and to experience the continuum of past, present, and future, and to recognize that we are space-time events, and in space-time we shall return. Wow, that's so beautiful. The scientist as well as the philosopher, the theologian and the common man or woman must seek that ultimate reality with the same means. That is a mystical method that consists in the expectation of a visitation or a revelation, right? What is the revelation? An unveiling, an apocalypse, a revealing, right? A perception of another reality, perceiving and engaging with that other. What is a visitation? A possession, right? An enthusement, a divine madness, an engagement with something again other than the self, right? It's always in this reception of the other that the magic comes. The trance state does not give access to it, but it opens up avenues that can facilitate illumination or revelation. Not just the trance state, but any higher state. The entheogenic path is often the same, where these things can open you up to realms of higher thinking, and then with the right mental focus and strength and ability, and also depends on what you're trying to talk to. If they want to talk to you, right? They want to reveal. What are you asking the universe for? But you need to be able to enter those higher states first, right? Whether it is through meditation or through dance. Today we're seeing that trance state. And that trance state is one that is entered into through ecstatic motion and rhythm, right? Through that beat of the drum, through the heartbeat, and through that engagement with the flow of the universe, you are possessed by the flow of the universe, right? The trance state does not give access to it, but opens up avenues that can facilitate illumination or revelation. The trance state, or any higher state of consciousness, allows us to enjoy the ecstasy of the unbroken wholeness of the finite universe, right? We can experience that unity in the finitude, wow, of our own reality. Beautiful. And to experience the continuum of past, present, and future, to see the unfolding of that reality, and to recognize that we are space-time events, and in space-time we shall return. Space-time events, snakes, right? We are not an individual, but we are a collection of moments throughout time, of decisions and transformation, of a winding, snaking path through that cosmic chain. Beautiful. Love it. Wow. Thank you, Dr. Crosley. All right. We're now going to go to the Psychic Bible by Genesis Peorage and the Temple of Psychic Youth. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from the Temple of Psychic Youth? Inspire us. To reach the peak state, we need to disembody or live Isaiah. It is thus by operating from Yetzirah, which equals with the astral realm in the Western magical system, that we can reach the highest point. This is the ecstatic or out-of-body experience. Wow. Now they're showing us the next level, right? Dr. Crosley was showing us that we had to enter that trance state. But it is not enough to be in that trance state. You have to then leave the self, leave the vehicle of the body, experience that out-of-body ecstatic state, right? That is where the communication takes place, outside of that self. Wow. Beautiful. All right, we're going to continue. We're going to have one more sortes. And we're going to go to Q by Luther Blissett. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Q? I nod, I've been both, but I'll tell you what I'm most interested in right now is information. I've been both, but I'll tell you what I'm most interested in right now is information. Wow. Incredible. Information. The message from the Muse is to seek that information, right? The experience is one thing, to have been and to have been these things, but what is the knowledge gained, the data, right? The information driven from that experience. That is what we need to be fixated upon, right? But I tell you what I'm most interested in right now is information. Multiplicity of perspectives, recognizing that this universe exists from multiple viewpoints, right? There is no singularity. Not from our perception. All right. We are now going to go to our tarot proper. Before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. The likes really do make a big difference with the silly YouTube algorithm. And it's a beautiful little blessing. It's good karma. So please help me out. It makes a difference. And if you are at all interested in a private reading, you can email me, snappydts@gmail.com, or you can message me on the Myth and Lore Discord, Snappy, or Lady Snappy. I'm now also doing natal chart readings where if you're interested at all, we will go through your natal chart together in a personal discussion, and I'll walk you through all of the various elements of your chart. So if you're interested in any of that, please reach out to me. You'll find everything again in the description. Okay, so now we start our tarot proper, and we are going to be invoking that spirit of Kronos. And we are using our Thoth Tarot of Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. We are going to ask Kronos to dissect our life, to cut it up and put it on the plate, to examine our present situation, and to look at our energy and how it flows, and to ask, how do we manifest our true will? How do we overcome the present? And what do we need to do to move and flow? And a card shot out, and it's going to be our center today. And the card that shot out was the universe. I love the universe energy. The universe is beautiful energy. It's that mother goddess on full display, both the beginning and the end, right? For she is that ultimate ascension of the mountain, infinity embodied in form, that ultimate creatrix. But at the same time, she is in her own self-created embryo and will give birth to herself anew in an ever-unfolding cycle. Beautiful, right? That divine Persephone energy. Incredible. The mirror image of the Fool. And this is our center. And this is about recognizing that in this moment, we're coming to the end of a cycle. And this is about imagining ourselves into a new future, into a new reality, taking charge. You can always transform the self in any moment, right? You are always in a state of growth and change, regardless of whether you are actively participating or not. But this is the moment to stand back and to recognize that this cycle is completed and a new avenue is opening, a new pursuit, a new tower to climb, and you must project yourself into that reality. All right. And what do we see here on our right? Beautiful energy. The Queen of Discs, Capricorn in body, that strong feminine energy. This is about looking to this energy into our life, right? This is about embodying this energy. This is a hard energy to deal with and to connect with, but it is a beautiful energy and it is a rewarding energy, right? This is that mother energy as that manager, organizer. And what I'm seeing here is that we need to embody this hard energy, that energy that can be the one that is practical and can ensure the protection and the sustaining of the household, right? This is that real tough practical energy that ensures everything is working as it should. Everything is in its place and everything is well going forward as it should. Putting plans into action, setting forth, building the structure. Perfect energy to have at the beginning of a new cycle. This is who you want to build that foundation, right? Let's continue. Wow. We're seeing a double completion here. We have the completion energy of the universe, and now we're having the completion in the wands, right? What we're seeing here is that this emotional pursuit of this fiery inspiration is completed. Part of the ending of that cycle is that we have found and connected to this inspiration, and that inspiration is carrying with us. It's defining our present, right? We don't need to pursue the wand so much because we have that love. You know, we have that fire, that inspiration, okay? Now we're needing to embody that energy of the Queen of Discs, right? That energy that can transform and grow and build upon this completion energy, right? It's really, really, really beautiful. And I love seeing it. So let's continue and we're going to see where this goes. So at the top, from that completed energy, we see the Nine of Wands. Wow. This is continuing, right, to have that strength, that fiery, passionate energy that is continuing through this cycle, right? So as this cycle ends, we need to be in that strength, in that fiery, passionate energy to push us continuing forward, right? Of connecting to this flow. Where's that fire coming from? How is this unfolding? Let's see. Wow. We seeing that energy of the Prince of Discs, right? The Prince of Discs is interesting energy. It's that young, outgoing energy, but in a very immature way, right? It's that energy of the person who shows up and tries to transform reality quickly, who wants to build the tower now, who wants to manifest and transform the reality. But this is powerful energy that can be truly a blessing if it is put to work. Right? If it's engaged with in the right way, you know, but if it is not engaged with properly, it can knock everything down. It can be that bull in the china shop. So we need to have the strength to deal with this energy, you know, the strength to deal with that energy. Who better to deal with the Prince of Discs than the Queen of Discs? This is that energy of the person who can truly give that man the skills necessary to manifest and organize and build for himself, right? Who can ensure that he is disciplined enough, right? This is powerful energy. These two cards come together so well, you know? Let's see where this is going. All right. Yeah, we have that defeat energy. There's a lot of pain here. There's a lot of believing that we cannot transform this youthful wildness, right? That we can't overcome this recklessness. We need to have the strength to transform and to deal with this young man, to help them become that capable knight, right? The Knight of Discs is truly powerful energy, the one who can truly build and transform reality, you know? And what we're seeing here is that we must have the strength to persevere in spite of this defeatist energy, believing that this is impossible, that we can't, right? That we're not going to be able to connect, that we're not going to be able to bring in new love, that we're not going to be able to show this person or have the strength. But what we're seeing here is with the five, it's coming from a lack of thought. We're not truly engaging. We're reacting emotionally. What I'm seeing here is that we're responding to the actions and not to the situation, because with the 5, if we apply more swords, we gain that balanced perspective of reason. If we look at the situation a little more, if we apply those perspectives again, and if we truly look at this, if we are strong, we can see that this energy is going to transform. There can be success here, right? The issue is, do we have the strength and do we have the ability to think about this constructively, right? This young man needs that queen energy. Interesting. Let's see where this is going. Beautiful. As the one cycle ends, a new cycle begins, and it's about seizing this moment, donning the armor, taking responsibility, and moving towards one's goal, pursuing that object of inspiration, that love, that passion, that creative source, right? Being driven to do so, and having the strength to move and to take that responsible action. This is about, as one cycle ends and the new one begins, again, what is that fire? What is that strength that drives you? What is that energy that is continuing through these cycles? The chariot connects to that energy and is driven by that love, that fiery passion, and we need to continue to pursue this as we go forward. All right, let's continue. We have the 2 of Swords here, peace. And the key to this energy is learning to balance things again, right? And that's where the bloom comes from, in that unity, when you can take 2 sides and see the totality of the image, reflect upon the duality from both perspectives, and that harmony, right? X marks the spot where the treasure is buried, right? Where that bloom can thrive. We're striving for that strophalon. You need to be in that middle way, at peace with the universe and moving in flow, not in conflict, right? Beautiful. Let's continue. Yeah. The devil energy, right? The devil energy is that Capricorn energy distilled, right? We seeing the same goat with this queen that we see here, look. The devil is that power to ascend the mountain, to achieve one's dreams, the power to rise and ascend to the stars. The devil gives you what you want. The question is, do you have the strength to do it? Can you rise to the occasion? What are you asking for? If you are destroyed by this energy, it is because you are approaching this energy with greed, right? It is because you are seeking power. It's because you aren't asking for the right things: wisdom and truth, understanding, love. But if you ask for the right things in the right way, if you know how to approach this with that strong conviction, you can manifest all of your dreams. You can ascend that mountain and transform and grow. Beautiful. Wow. Okay. Before we flip, once again, please give me a like and a subscribe. The likes really do make a big difference. And if you are at all interested in a private reading, please reach out. Email me at snappydts@gmail.com. And you can also find me on the Myth and Lore Discord. All right. Let's take a look at our full spread here. So we start here with our queen, right? Wow. The key to this relationship is being at peace with it, right? Recognizing that in this moment, this youthful energy of that prince needs that hard energy of the queen. They need this disciplined energy, and they need to go through the experience of refinement. And it may be hard and it may be difficult, but both will be better for it, right? These are energies that are complementary, that work together, that are pursuing shared goals, And she has what he wants, right? If he wants to be the knight, he has to learn her lessons, right? She has the power. She has the goat. She knows how to ascend that mountain. Does this young man have the wherewithal to listen? Interesting. All right. When we now go here, we have that completion energy, our center card, the universe, that mother goddess, right? And this is about as one cycle completes and as we move forward into the next cycle, do we have the strength of conviction to continue to pursue our dreams, to move and flow, to change and to adapt, to imagine ourselves and our goals, embrace that strength, don that armor, take responsibility, and move towards your desires. Beautiful. We see here this defeatist energy is coming to completion, right? It's cycling out. It's part of the ending of this universe, right? And now it's about embracing this energy of the devil, embracing that ambition, doing the hard work that is necessary to ascend the tower and to transform. The poor thinking has come to an end, right? Beautiful. I love seeing that. Now let's examine our crosses. So we'll start with this one. Yeah. In order to come this defeatist energy, we need to just accept our fate. We need to be at peace. Part of the problem is you can only be defeated as if you're fighting, right? If you're not fighting with the universe, if you're moving in flow, if you're moving with love, if you're adapting, then only good things will come, And this is about recognizing your own karma, recognizing the love in your own life, and having the wherewithal to just be at peace, right? In spite of the chaos around us, in spite of previous disputes or negativity, I was talking to my friend Dion the other day, and he really said an inspiring story to me. He was telling me about just this energy of even when faced with darkest moments, when your life is on the line, just accept that loving blessing of the mother and put your life in faith's hands. There's nothing else that you can do. Be at peace and the universe will reward you, right? Beautiful. If the defeat is going to come, all you can do is learn to adapt to it, right? Be at peace. Wow. Yeah. As this energy closes out and we enter this new cycle, right? We're showing up here as this Prince of Discs. We're learning how do we do the hard work of ascending the mountain? How do we do the hard work of manifesting our ambitions and our realities? There's a lot of learning and growth to grow here. As this cycle ends, and we're showing up now as this youth, right? For many of us, what I'm seeing is that this pursuit of the physical, of the wealth, is something that is new. It's a game that hasn't been played, right? This game of the discs. So we're showing up with that inexperience, and we want to manifest this today. The key to ascending that throne and projecting into the future is this relationship of being at peace and learning to listen and to take the advice from this Queen Mother, the one who's already done it, right? Who knows how to contend with and protect herself, protect her young ones. There's a lot of power here in this reading, and there's a lot of growth as one cycle ends. But what I'm seeing is that this cycle ends, there's a new one, and it's about movement and building and having the strength to overcome the defeatist energy, to take responsibility, to do what is necessary to achieve your dreams, right? To be like this Queen of Discs, to be that organized, disciplined energy, right? Who has the power and the wherewithal to build that foundation that will sustain that shower through all of the cycles, right? Beautiful. Be that practical builder. Take responsibility. Move towards your desires. Don your armor and be at peace. Love it. All right. I hope that resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. All right. And for our final message, we are going to do one final sortes from Dr. Crosley once again. So, Muses, what is the message from Dr. Crosley and the Voodoo Quantum Leap? Inspire us. In nature, some probabilities are more prone to actualization than others, and the conservation laws tend to maintain a status quo or to reestablish the preferential actualization, which is the ordinary reality for us living beings. And we have seen in Zandoric singularities how the Cinderella principle works to bring back normalcy. You know? When extremism rears its ugly head, or when things get too tough, when life starts to go crazy, there's a resetting that'll bring back to some kind of a normal, at least an attempt to establish a new normal. Wow. Interesting. Think upon that status quo and that middle path. Think on how we find that and how we move in balance. What is normalcy? What is normalcy in terms of nature, right? Not in terms of some human conception. All right, everyone. Peace and love. I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you once again for tuning in. And please, I'd love to see you again tomorrow for another live tarot session. Take care.